Dear friends, this is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would very much like to continue on with the 31 days of gangster films and police films from the year 1970 to the present. And it is my hope that this can afford us, you and me, my dear friends, with the opportunity to be able to speak about as many films as possible over the course of these 31 days in the context of the gangster film and the police film, respectively. These very intoxicating and absorbing, enthralling and thought-provoking genres of cinema. In that context, and specifically today for this discussion, I'd like to focus in on the latter, namely the police film genre. And my goodness, I have a film here that for me is so intoxicating and so absorbing and so enthralling and very thought-provoking, and it's intense. It is a psychological portrait, a human drama. It has a lot of tension, a lot of suspense. It is episodic, so there are so many things going on, and it's packed filled with information, packed filled with detail, and that detail is complex and it's multi-layered. It is utterly brilliant, my dear friends. This is one of my favorites in the genre, and it is from one of my favorite filmmakers. This filmmaker is an artist whose films we have spoken about over the course of these 31 days up to now. But it is my great pleasure and honor to be able to speak about yet another incredible work from this incredible filmmaker. This is a work that is described as being from 1981. And it is based upon a book by Robert Daly, which is in turn based upon the real-life events of the police officer Robert Lucy. Now, this book then became the basis for the film's screenplay, which is credited to J. Preston Allen and Sidney Lumet. This film is directed by Sidney Lumet, and it has, among its incredible cast, Treat Williams. Treat Williams plays the main character here, who is Danny Cielo. And I'm speaking of this film, this incredible epic. Prince of the City. Prince of the City is a police saga epic to the max. It is focusing in on the main character of Detective Danny Cielo. This is the Treat Williams character, who is, at the start, we understand, part of this very special unit, Special Investigative Unit, SIU. And it is very special because, among other things, well, it does involve a lot of investigations in some very dangerous and very life and death stakes types of investigations, also involving significant crimes and narcotics, etc. So this is a group of detectives who have a very strong bond. Each of them, they are partners, and they have this incredible connection with each other. They are deep friends, as well as close work colleagues, and Detective Cielo is among them. Now, he is part of this unit, which is also special in the fact that they have a lot of leeway, they have a lot of freedom, and there's no oversight over their activities. So they can basically do essentially anything they want. They have been nicknamed princes of the city, in a manner of speaking. So they have a lot of what might be deemed to be a kind of special and unchecked authority. Now, this also means that over the course of their time and experience, including Danny Cielo, they have experienced or come across, or maybe even directly been involved in, what might be described as acts of police corruption, whether it be maybe somewhat petty level or beyond. That could be directly related to SIU or maybe beyond within the police department writ large. And so this begins, or we understand that the process has already begun in the heart and soul of the detective Danny Cielo to feel remorse or to feel guilt or to feel otherwise the need to unburden himself. And thus begins the journey of Detective Cielo to get in touch with and to meet with internal affairs IA investigators, also federal level prosecutor investigators who are investigating the possibility of police corruption across within the rank and file of the New York City Police Department. So uh, in these processes, we have Detective Cielo getting in touch, or maybe people get in touch with him, and begins the process of will he or won't he agree to cooperate with these various investigations that involve the police department, not SIU specifically, at least not yet, maybe perhaps, but parts of the New York's police department, other areas, other investigators, other detectives, other police officers, etc., that maybe through some connection or other, Detective Cielo, the Treat Williams character, might have some information to be able to cooperate with these investigations. So there begins another process of the film, namely the interactions with these other parts of these other organs of law enforcement. And so we meet the various figures of the federal prosecutor level. Some people maybe are more likable than others, shall we say, but we also understand too that part of this negotiating process that we are privy to as viewers of the film is not just the acts of, say, or the feelings of remorse or guilt that one might sense as a viewer, one might sense that are being part of the character of the Danny Cielo character, the Treat Williams character, but also we see how the negotiations between investigators and potential whistleblowers within the department also might involve some kind of shall we say, quote unquote, delicate coercion. And part of this too means the potential threat that that these investigations might have on someone like Danny Cielo himself. And so we become privy to what Danny Cielo himself might have been involved in that could be subject to any potential investigation going forward. Also, that gives us some information, details about Danny Cielo's own life and his own, say, means and methods of investigation that involve, say, dealing with informants, and sometimes dealing with informants in a very, say, maybe somewhat questionable manner, shall we put it. And also we see some insight into Danny Cielo's own family and his own connections, and how there is some extra level of, say, nuance and complexity in terms of his connections both on this side of the law and also on the other side of the law. So there are a number of factors that emerge both professionally and personally in the context of the character of Danny Cielo that form one of the bases of this incredible journey, this incredibly complex journey of this one man who is trying desperately to somehow salvage or some remnant of his soul in terms of remorse or guilt that he might be feeling, while at the same time maybe trying to save his own skin, trying to avoid being subject of any future investigations himself. Who knows? Who knows? Whatever the case may be, we also are privy to these discussions and ultimate decision of the character Danny Cielo character to cooperate and to become a what is known as a type of whistleblower, in a manner of speaking. Now, this then involves his various activities with these differing investigations going on. And this adds to a kind of episodic nature of the film. This has a very long running time as a feature work from one point of view. But on the other hand, it does have a wonderfully episodic structure. And so this allows for, I think, it may be in the parlance of, say, a TV series or like streaming series that have multi-parts. This feels like a multi-part episodic work that could be, I think, watched in that in various sittings, or it could be watched in one sitting, whatever the case may be, whatever works for you, my dear friends. In any event, what this means for Danny Cielo and his activities and his involvement with these various investigations into possible police corruption in the New York City Police Department. This means that he is involved in many different possible scenarios, and that leads to many different, say, episodes or little maybe mini subplots that occur and emerge, while at the same time we understand that the pressure is building and building and building and building, because these situations that we watch and witness are very potentially intense. They are very dangerous. They do involve a great deal of risk to his security, to his life in person. So sometimes we have to see him put on a wire in order to record conversations secretly for the objective of trying to obtain some kind of incriminating comment or word or something, some kind of incriminating conversation that could be used potentially as evidence against these people that are the subject of these police corruption investigations. So that's one aspect. Another aspect is maybe he has to maybe provide information that he has heard on the side, and at the same time he has to interact directly with those that are being investigated. And sometimes we see it being cut very, very close indeed, perhaps even too close. And there's always the risk that he will be found out. There's always the risk that he will be revealed as the whistleblower, as the mole, as the person who is telling the investigators everything. And if that secret is revealed, then the game is up, because there's not just the embarrassment, there's also the idea of loyalty and the betrayal of that trust. You know, one of the things that is also very, very evident in the work like Prince of the City is the feeling of loyalty and the deep, deep friendship that exists between and among the police officer groups, you know, the partners. And this is definitely true for Danny Cielo and his partners in the SIU, and by extension, a number of people that he knows in the police department. And as these investigations pile up, they begin to investigate people that he knows personally. And so that also adds this complex sense of guilt, as well as the tension of possibly being revealed. And if he is revealed, what does that mean for all these friendships that he's had for all these years within the police department? If people find out that he is indeed the person that is revealing all these secrets, then the game is up, and those friendships will be destroyed forever, and the loyalties will lead to betrayals, and that might even lead to possible risk to his person. And so there are so many possible implications and so many risks that are involved, on top of being and put in these very physically dangerous situations of the investigating aspect itself. Now, this also reveals levels of, say, the police procedural, the aspects of the investigation, what is needed, etc. So I love how this film, The Prince of the City, and the participants involved provide this in this very precise, almost surgical nature. That's one of the great strengths of it, while at the same time never letting go of the psychological and really emotional drama that is involved with all this complex web, and every decision that Danny Cielo seems to make has possibilities that also has some dire consequences. And so when all these decisions pile on each other, then the pressure begins to get to him, and really, really gets to him, and he becomes tense, on edge. It becomes a really almost unsustainable situation. And on top of that, I mentioned how these investigations are potentially anywhere in the police department, but oftentimes, or maybe gradually, they begin to be focusing on people that he knows personally. And when those investigations then turn back to his unit, which is SIU, then that pressure will then build and build. And what will the implications be for that, for Danny Cielo and company? This is one of the great aspects of the intense drama that is on display here in this absorbing work, this incredible work, this brilliant work in the context of the police film genre. That is Prince of the City. This is utterly amazing, absolutely incredible. I think one of the reasons is we have the brilliance of Treat Williams' Danny Cielo performance. I mean, this is a performance for the ages. This is so great. I love how Danny Cielo here, he has this, he's given this almost exuberant nature, an almost cocky attitude. He has this devil may care type of attitude on the one hand, which is strengthened by the close bond that he has with some of the people in the SIU, for example, the Jerry Orbach character. So there is a sort of brother to brother relation. There's also a type of father to son relationship that really strengthens him and emboldens him. So when he is speaking to, say, quote unquote outsiders like investigators for the first time, there is this brash, almost cocky attitude that he has. That seems also to be maybe hiding maybe a type of chip on his shoulder aspect on the one hand, but also maybe a type of proud class distinction on the other, which is also tied into his role as a police officer who is exposed to so many dangerous crimes and investigations on the street that the federal prosecutor investigators are not directly exposed to. So there are all these differing aspects that form this very human portrait of Danny Cielo in the hands of the performer Treat Williams, the actor Treat Williams, and it is a brilliant one. And as the film builds and builds and builds throughout the various scenarios and episodes, and therefore as the stakes grow and grow and grow, and as the psychological stress adds and adds and adds, we see this facade begin to morph into something that is very much revealing of a type of emerging psychological trauma. The intensity upon him, and as it plays out and as it affects, say, his personal relationships at home, etc., is also very palpable. We see sudden outbursts, very understandably so, by the way, but sudden outbursts of frustration and anger. We see also desperation. We see him trying his best to be a cop while also cooperating, and sometimes that cooperation with the federal investigations, etc., might be things that he disagrees with, might be things that he is totally against, and therefore he wants to ally himself with those being investigated, namely the police officer side. And maybe there's some instances where he feels he's being manipulated. So he has to deal with this situation where no matter where he seems to be finding himself, there is no easy ground. Every ground seems to be a shaky one. And we see Treat Williams trying to handle this, or the Treat Williams performance of Danny Cielo, how Danny Cielo is trying to handle this as best he can, but it is really, really tough. And it really gets to him, and understandably so, reasonably so. And as I say, over the course of this epic running time, when it reaches the boiling point, it hits it, and then some. And then the stakes grow and grow and grow. And as I say, Treat Williams handled it so well, so absorbing. Every time he's on screen, he is charismatic, charming. You cannot take your eyes off him, that type of aura. So this is one of the great strengths of the film. Another great strength is, I mentioned before, Sidney Lumet and the feeling and atmosphere of this. It is, if you're talking about Sidney Lumet, and you're talking about a Sidney Lumet film that is about New York City, you are in for a ride. You are in for a great cinema ride, my dear friends, because this is an example of that. There is a feel of it. How should I explain it? Sidney Lumet is a great dramatist. He is a wonderful dramatist. He has a great experience, of course, in cinema, also stage, theater, and the like. And so his works are drama. They are very much like theater drama, and very proudly so. So what I love about the work like Prince of the City with Sidney Lumet is, on the one hand, it is very much a drama. This is not meant to be any type of cinema verite, quasi documentary type of film. It is staged. These are performances made by actors. It is very gritty and is very absorbing, yes, and there's nothing wrong with the type of staged feel to it. But my point is that the drama is very much part of the Sidney Lumet touch, the Sidney Lumet style, and this almost giving a sense of the emotional complexity, heightening drama almost to an operatic level. But the drama is key for Sidney Lumet films. Now that is key. Now that might not lead to, say, a cinema verite type of style. It could, but it might not. In fact, it might lead to a very structured drama. But that is okay. That is one of the great strengths of a Sidney Lumet film and Prince of the City. While at the same time, he gives us the feel of New York. He gives us the atmosphere, the smell of the air, the kind of the sound of the people walking down the hallways into the elevators, or the walking down the streets. You can feel or hear the background noise of the traffic, and the buildings and the look in the sky, and everything. And as the characters inhabit it, this is a New York film through and through. So I love that aspect. I love that sort of paradoxical dynamic. We have almost wonderfully a theater type of drama, stage drama going on the forefront, but in the background we have something which is almost like the lived-in, real-life New York of the time, late 70s, early 80s. So a wonderful dynamic and juxtaposition, I think, and it's true for a lot of Sidney Lumet films, I might say. And that he provides this real lived-in feel of New York as the backdrop for the heightened drama of a work like Prince of the City. And that combination is utterly, utterly incredible. So, and it allows also for the heightened works, the heightened tension of Treat Williams and company to do what it is they do, and what they do is magnificent. So we have here a truly bold epic. It is one that is it should be seen by as many people as possible, and I wish it is, because this is one of the best. This is one of the best examples of the police film genre. This is one of the best examples of Sidney Lumet works. This is one of the great films, period. This is one of my favorite films by Sidney Lumet. I love this film so much. This is the work, again, from 1981, starring Treat Williams as Danny Cielo in this film, Prince of the City. Okay, my dear friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well. And please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. Thank you so much, as always, for your time. I very, very much appreciate it. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.